Hello everyone, it is time for a new video, and today I'm going to be doing something I haven't done in a very long time, which is a wrap up, and it's going to be of course for October. But this month I definitely had the best reading month that I've had so far this year. I haven't really been like in a reading slump, but I wasn't really reading the amount I wanted, but also I was reading good books, but I wasn't reading a big variety and it wasn't fulfilling the things that I actually was looking for. This month I went very deep into like all the like fall cozy paranormal kind of books that I wanted to read, and I had the best time. And I do think paranormal romance probably won the most, and now in the next like few months I really want to focus on fantasy romance. Let's jump straight into the books in chronological order because we have a lot to talk about. So, the first one, and probably the best one that I read in October, is Every Spiral of Fate by Tahereh Mafi, and I have this beautiful Waterstones edition, and it's just gorgeous, and I'm obsessed with this series. I'm not going to talk too much about it, because it is the fourth book in the series. But this series single-handedly has restored my desire to read fantasy. And so this is honestly, like, especially like obviously the previous books as well, have loved every second of this. And this was like the first one that actually came out as I already started the series beforehand. And so, you know, I was desperately awaiting the release date. I pre-ordered it and everything, and it was the best time ever. And I devoured it. This series is, of course, fantasy. There's slow burn romance. There's like royal intrigue. And we have our main character who is the lost heir to a Jinn empire. And I don't really want to say more about the plot because like the first book is very different from the other books, and I don't want to say anything that's going to spoil it. But there are dragons, there are some like kind of found family vibes, there's yearning and so many emotions, and like again the kind of angst that just cannot be done in a contemporary romance. And I love contemporary romance. I think both is special in its own way, but like I finally realized I can't live without either of them. And so thank you to Tahereh Mafi. This was perfect, and I have no notes and I need the next book immediately. So the next book that I read after that is Learning Curves by Rachel Lacey, and this was, I think, my first book that I read by Rachel Lacey, and I'm very happy to say that I loved it. She writes adult sapphic romance, and she has quite a lot of them, and so I will definitely be reading more of her backlist titles. And there is actually another one that I read that I'll talk about later. And this was just super like autumnal academic vibes. The two main characters are basically professors at this university, and one of the main characters used to be the professor of the other one. And so there is an age gap, there's that like little kind of slightly forbidden element, and it's amazing. Like workplace romance set in Vermont, and so it's very like autumnal and everything, and so I absolutely enjoyed this and would highly recommend it. Then I read A Tale of Mirth and Magic by Kristen Vale. This is just a very cozy fantasy romance with like very much focused on the romance and more like lower stakes. So the main character does get into trouble, and there is like a bounty put on her head, and so there are people after her. But the hero basically like goes on like this road trip with her, and he kind of protects her. And it's not really that angsty. Like they, again, like it focuses on the romance a lot, and even though there's this like danger and stuff, like most of the book is just kind of like the romance between them. It's steamy and it's sweet and it's fun and lighthearted. And so if you would like to read a book that is in a fantasy world but very focused on the romance and like nothing like complicated, and you know you should check this one out. The next one I have here is Ladies in Hating by Alexandra Vasti, and oh my god, I loved every second of this. So I love Alexandra Vasti so much. Her books are incredible. I have read every single one, and this is her first sapphic book, and I loved it so much. So I did already recommend it in my like fall book recommendation video. But yeah, it is perfect for the spooky season and fall, and I don't know honestly how like for how long people read autumnal books if they like stop in November, and you know, but like even outside of that, I absolutely recommend this book. So we have our two main characters who are rival novelists, and at first there's like a secret identity component where Georgiana is trying to figure out who this mysterious Lady Darling is, but it is very quickly solved, and then the two of them basically go like keep running into each other. There's a lot of coincidences in their books, and they kind of think that like the other one is plagiarizing, you know, all this stuff. And we have a lot of forced proximity. They get stuck in a like gothic haunted mansion. And it is so much fun. So I would say like Alexandra Vasti's books are very lighthearted and funny. This one feels like the most like emotional out of them, and kind of like a little bit more melancholy, which again I feel like works so well for the autumnal vibes. And it is still swoon-worthy and very romantic and angsty. There's a lot of yearning in this one, and I loved it so much. And this cover is just absolutely beautiful, and I loved like some of the deeper things that it explored as well, like different feelings surrounding their families and different life experiences. So yeah, I absolutely recommend this one. Love it so much. And if you have not read Alexandra Vasti's books, you need to get on it. I also don't know if I ever said it's historical romance. I kind of feel like I didn't. But yeah, this is, and all of Alexandra Vasti's books are. So definitely pick this one up, even again after spooky season. The next book is The Most Unusual Haunting of Edgar Lovejoy by Roan Parrish. We are still keeping up with the theme. And I very much enjoyed this as well. So this is kind of like a paranormal romance. One of our main characters designs haunted mansions, and the other one is actually haunted by ghosts. And they fall in love, of course, and this one is like, it does, again, yeah, deals with ghosts. It is paranormal, but at the same time, it feels very like realistic sort of, and just incredibly emotional. It deals a lot with mental health connected to all of this, and it's kind of intertwined, you know, with feeling haunted, and I felt like it was actually very meaningful and relatable, and I absolutely loved it. Roan Parrish writes such like emotional, raw, and realistic stories, and I love all of them. And so if you want one that is like even more again spooky and stuff, you need to pick this one up. The next one is another paranormal romance, which is The Fang Arrangement by Sarah Blue, and this was super addicting. I loved the first book in the series, and I don't think this one quite reached that level, but I still loved it. And so we have like full-on paranormal vibes and a witch and a vampire. The heroine falsely gets accused of murdering this vampire, and the hero is basically gonna protect her, and things go on from there. And I just love this. They had so much tension. I love like all the different like supernatural things going on. Like it definitely fully feels, you know, paranormal, if that makes sense. And yeah, there's some action, some adventure, but a lot of romance, and it's steamy and it's fun, and honestly everything I want from a paranormal romance. So I loved this. The next one is another historical romance, and that is The Earl That Got Away by Diana Quincy. And this one is second chance. The two main characters fell in love like many years ago in Philadelphia, but they broke up, and now they reunite in England somewhere. They fall in love again. Now I'm not sure if it's like the heroine's sister got married to the hero's best friend. I think that's the situation. And so they have to spend time together again because of that, and I loved this. We do have like kind of dual timelines, sort of, like I would say flashbacks, but there's a lot of them, and I did actually really like that. And I felt like we really got to see their past and everything. I wish we got to see their present a little bit more, because I feel like in a lot of places the past felt kind of dominant, and I feel like in a second chance romance I want the present to of course be more present. But I loved this. I love Diana Quincy so much. And there is Palestinian American representation in here. That is the case in basically all of Diana Quincy's books, and you should absolutely read them. She writes such angsty and emotional and romantic, swoon-worthy books, and this was no different. So definitely check this one out. Then I read Pumpkin Spice and Poltergeist by Ali K. Melford and K.L. Morrison. Again, paranormal, like all of that. And this one is a sapphic romance, and basically one of the main characters is a witch, and she accidentally summons the ghost of her ex-girlfriend that she never really moved on from. So she passed away maybe like a year ago, I think. And so, you know, the ghost of her ex-girlfriend is like, you have to move on because otherwise I won't be able to move on as a ghost. And so she helps her basically like let herself fall in love again. And yeah, it is very sweet, super fun, definitely like spooky vibes, all of that. The atmosphere is for sure there. And it's a very quick read. I think it's a novella. And so if you would like to read something very short and sweet, definitely pick it up. Then I read Donut Summer by Anita Kelly. You know, I needed a little break from all the fall things. And I adored this. So I was very highly anticipating this. At this point, it came out a few months ago, but I just like, I don't know, it was never the right time, but I was so excited for it because I love Anita Kelly so much. And this was their first YA book, and I loved every second of this. I listened to the audiobook as well, and it was just the kind of thing that, you know, like I had a lot of things to do, and I needed something good to listen to, and it was just so good, and it felt so vivid, and I felt so invested in the story. Like with audio, I love audiobooks so much, but sometimes if it doesn't hold my attention, I can kind of zone out. And this one was just holding my attention like the entire way through, and I loved it so much. So the two main characters know each other in high school, but they kind of both think that they don't like each other, and they end up having to work in this donut shop over the summer, and one of the main characters basically wants to save this shop because she finds out that it's probably gonna like have to close down. And things go on from there. So of course there's like workplace romance, and it is just so sweet and emotional and meaningful, and it's exactly everything I imagined Anita Kelly writing YA would be in the best way. Like I love Anita's adult books so much, and it kind of felt like it had the same soul, but of course for a very different audience and with just like different energy. And I loved every second. So you should absolutely read this if you would like to read a queer, emotional, contemporary book. Obviously, it is by no means summer, but it doesn't really have summer vibes. And there's, you know, like all the donuts and bakery things and cozy things. And so definitely check this one out. The next one I read is On Midnight Shores by Julie Olivia. And this is like a bad boy, good girl romance, which I don't always love. But this was fun. I do read it when it's an author that I already, you know, read from and enjoyed, which is the case with Julie Olivia. And of course, like a lot of people have been talking about her new fall book, If It Makes You Happy. And she has a lot of other books that I have really liked. And this was just super like lighthearted and fun, small town romance. They end up working together as well. And it was just such a good time. And so if you would like to read a fun, very easy, quick to read romance, definitely pick it up. The next book I am so excited to tell you about, and that is It's Different This Time by Joss Richard. And oh my god. So I love reading new to me authors, and I always try to like kind of keep a balance between reading my favorite authors and new authors. But I kind of just, you know, obviously like I try to go into books without expectations, like in a good way, not like of course expecting, oh, I'm not gonna like this, but like, you know, just like go in with an open mind. And so if it's a new to me author, of course I'm not really generally expecting, oh, this is gonna be a new favorite. I'm like, of course I'm always hoping but as long as I have a good time, you know, that's fine. And so with this, you know, I see the cover, I'm like, fall vibes, perfect, that's all that I'm looking for, you know. But oh my god, this was so much more. This was fall vibes and so many more things, and I devoured it. I loved every second. Absolutely one of my new favorites. Like, it was just the kind of thing like I was just like, you know, oh my god, I think I found a new like favorite author, even with just one book, you know. And of course I can't know for sure, but like, oh my god, I need the next book by Joss Richard like literally immediately, because this was literally perfect. I have no notes. So we have like kind of second chance, estranged best friends to lovers, who a few years ago they moved in together in New York, kind of randomly, you know, of course like rent is high and they needed someone to live with, and so they moved in together and became incredibly close, literally just best friends, roommates, everything, like very safe together. Such deep emotion, such a strong connection. And they didn't exactly date, but like of course they were super close. And then they parted ways, and you know, it broke their heart and it was devastating. and now they find each other around each other again because the place they used to live in, the owner passed away, and he left the apartment to both of them in the will. So they inherited this apartment together after not seeing each other for many years. And so they have to kind of spend time together again to figure out what they want to do. Do they want to sell it and whatever? And you know, they have to kind of be there to like deal with contracts and shit like that. Oh my god, like the yearning in this, the emotions, the depth to it, like like the characters on their own as like their own people, and like the connection between them. It's like they're soulmates, they're meant to be together. Like they're perfect for each other, and I felt that so strongly, and just the story was so good and it flowed so well, and oh my god, I need everyone to read this book immediately. It is literally perfect, and it felt like a movie in the best way. Like, oh my god, I just cannot, like, I never want to stop talking about it, and I desperately need to buy a physical copy because, like, oh my god, I need to read this again and again. So please read it. Like, this is what I mean when I say that I love Best Friends to Lovers. Like, when it's done well, it is the best thing in the world. And thank you, Joss Richard, for like slaying the shit out of this. Absolutely perfect. And honestly, you know I said that this was my favorite book of the month, but they're definitely on the same level. And like, that says a lot. Then I read I'm Gonna Get You Back by Elena Armas, which I think might be only available on audio right now, and it comes out in like ebook and paperback later on. And so I saw this cover, I was like, that looks amazing and I need it. And so this one is kind of like a romantic suspense, which is not something I read, but again, like I have been wanting to read more subgenres of romance, and it felt like fall again was kind of good for like suspenseful stuff. And while it is, the heroine basically has a stalker, so she goes back home, I think to Vermont, and runs into her brother's best friend, and things go on from there. I'm not going to talk too much about it, the plot and stuff, because it is quite a short book, but I did feel like it was very good balance between like, there was suspense and there was a lot of tension in some moments, but it also focused a lot on the romance. And there were a lot of sweet and steamy moments with the two main characters, and it felt cozy as well, and I felt like it was the perfect balance for me, at least. And so definitely check this one out. I think even if you don't read too much romantic suspense, you could enjoy this for sure, because again, I don't. Then I read the other book by Rachel Lacey, which was Stars Collide, and this one is a pop star romance, which I wasn't sure if I actually liked, because I love actor romances. Anything that has to do with movies, and especially actors, is like everything to me. I love it so much. But I wasn't sure if I feel like pop stars and books about it have a different vibe. And this one though, I loved a lot. So our two main characters basically end up teaming up, and they go on tour together. They make like why am I blanking on it? Like, they make a song together. So they go on tour, and so there's a lot of forced proximity. There is a little bit of an age gap. You know, one of them is like a lot more experienced, very famous, and the other one is kind of like a new star. And so there's that contrast. But at the same time, obviously they connect over the music and so many things. And there's also like themes of like discovering and figuring out your queerness in adulthood, which I feel like is always amazing to see. And it's just a wonderful, super sweet romance, and such a quick read as well, and so highly recommend this. Then I read Love at First Sight by Nadia Alfasi, which was one of my most anticipated releases. And speaking of actors a second ago, this one has an actor hero, and I loved every second of this. So the heroine in this is a horror author. She's getting a movie adaptation of one of her books, and the hero is going to be the main, the lead actor in that movie. And so at first she thinks he's horrible for the role, he's too mainstream, not serious enough, and so they, don't start off very well. Then of course they figure out that maybe they're not what they first thought, and it is so much fun. It is a little bit paranormal as well, because the main character, the heroine, sees ghosts, and the place that they're filming in is haunted. And so I loved that element to it as well, and it kind of felt honestly a little more contemporary. It didn't fully feel like a supernatural book, if that makes sense, but it does for sure have that element. For sure feels cozy and autumnal, but it's also just a really strong romance, and I loved the plot and the vibes between them, and it was just so much fun. And I would highly recommend this, and I need to go back to reading the author's debut. Then I read Everything She Does Is Magic by Bridget Morrissey, which is a YA slightly paranormal romance. I would say kind of feels more like a cozy contemporary with a little bit of a magical element. So one of the main characters is a witch, and she's almost like a member of her coven. She doesn't really want to be a member, so she's trying to figure out how to like live her life on her own. She basically needs this like human protector to be able to initiate in the coven, and so she tells her parents that her high school crush is gonna be her protector without her actually knowing about it. And things going from there. There's a lot of forced proximity, a lot of like fall themed things going on, and it's very cute, you know, a very quick read. I think it's like 250 pages or something, and so I enjoyed it. It was very lighthearted. Then I read With Stars in Her Eyes by Andy Burke, which is another sapphic romance, but this one is adult. And based on the cover, this looks like a very bookish romance at around a bookstore, but it actually is not really completely that. One of the main characters basically is like a cello player, and she was in like a very famous band, and things went wrong, and so she goes to this town and works in her best friend's bookshop. And so it deals with her career in that way and things like that. Both of the main characters attend a book club together. So yeah, this was really cute and fun and a little bit steamy, and I definitely want to check out the author's other books. We're on to the last 3 books. I am kind of losing steam at this point, but I'm gonna power through because I did very much enjoy the other books as well. So I read Brooms by Jasmine Walls, and I loved this. It is the first graphic novel that I read after a very long time. I just found it on Everand, and I loved it so much. So we have our main characters who are witches, and they do these like broom races, and someone compared it to like Fast and Furious, but like on brooms. It does like, you know, show a lot of the races. That is kind of the main like plot to the book. But the main characters are also fighting against oppression and racist laws against like them being able to possess magic and things like that, and they're also trying to make money to move to a different state. And I loved this so much. I thought it would be just witchy like racing things, but it deals a lot with community and friendship, and is absolutely beautiful. And I feel like it was just really touching, even just based on like, even though we didn't get like, you know, that much like content because it's a graphic novel and there's not much space for dialogue and stuff like that, and it did center around the races a lot, I felt like I actually got to know the characters and I felt really connected to them, and I absolutely loved this, and you should absolutely check it out. Then I read Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I'm not going to talk about this in detail because I don't have energy anymore. And I'm guessing most people do know what this is about, but yeah, we have a werewolf and a werewolf hybrid and mates, and yeah, it is super fun. I loved it. Very addicting, very feral. And it was a lot of fun. That is that one. And last but not least, I read Spellfire by Agatha Willow, which is a super cute, witchy, but especially like academic book where one of the main characters is a headmistress of a magical academy, and the other one starts teaching their like spellcasting and stuff. So this one is like, what am I talking about? Witchy, slightly magical academy, but mostly like it doesn't honestly feel that paranormal. It's more about like the like school vibes. So it's kind of like Learning Curves by Rachel Lacey, but with a little bit more magic, like with a little bit of magic in it, but similar vibes. And I enjoyed it. It's a very quick read, and yeah, so I can't talk anymore, so I'm finally gonna stop now. Let me know if you read any good books in October, and let me know if you would like me to do more wrap-ups, because honestly I could try to do that. It's really nice to kind of like document, you know, the books that I'm reading. And so that will be all. If you made it this far in the video, I'll leave any kind of autumnal emoji down below because of how many times I reference fall in here. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'm gonna see you soon in another video. Bye!